What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a video that is near and dear to my heart. We are going to be doing the top 5 tips that I have for new AR-15 builders out there. Alright, so this is going to be a great video, so let's get into it. Alright guys, so like I said before the intro rolled, we are going to be doing a top 5 tips for new builders of AR-15s. And I absolutely love building AR-15s. I've done it for probably 2 or 3 years now. I'm on my 3rd build, and it's just something that I'm very passionate about, and I enjoy it a lot. I've learned a lot of things over the last 3 years. I've learned some do's and some don'ts and some really don'ts. And a little bit of everything, and I just thought this would be a good video to give you guys and to let you guys know what I think about some things and some tips that I have for people just getting into building their rifles. Alright, so to start off, I'd like to talk about why you would build a rifle, just to kind of give a brief explanation really. Sometimes building your rifle can be slightly less expensive than actually just going out and buying a rifle. So if you, let's just take Palmetto State for example. If you go buy one of their rifles, it'll probably be $50 more expensive than if you buy like a build kit. And I know a build kit's not really building your rifle. I mean, it is, but not in the, I guess, sense of you customizing it really to what you want. You buy all the parts and you just build it yourself. But it can be less expensive, alright? And I mean, I'm incredibly cheap, so that's definitely something I get behind. This is my first one, and this was a build kit, and I've made a lot of changes to it, but I love this gun, and I wouldn't change it for anything. Alright, second thing about why you build is it's super customizable, and a lot of times guns will have some things you really like and then some things you really don't like, and you'll have to swap them out later. And if you just build it, you get that out of the way to begin with, right? And then you don't have to spend more money, and once again, going back to the cheaper thing, right? So like I said, this is going to be the top 5 things. So there's a ton of tips and tricks and all kinds of stuff that gun builders put out there, but these are mine, and I feel that these are the most important. Alright, so number 1, lower receivers. So I have right here an Anderson lower receiver. This costs probably 50 to 60 bucks depending on where you get it from, and if it's like a major retailer like Rural King has theirs for 50, but if you go locally they're like 60, and then if you go locally some crazy places are like 70 or 80, and that's way too much. But this is 77.5 aluminum, alright, and it's mil spec. Okay, so that means it's up to military standards. And in my personal opinion, and what I've found, is that this right here, this lower, is perfectly fine for basically any rifle. Alright, I went and was shopping for some lowers just today, and I went into the store, and they had Andersons, and they had, it was hold on a second, I can't exactly remember what they called it. I've never heard of it before. Nodak. It was a Nodak lower, and that thing was $160 compared to this one, which was 50 bucks. And it was the exact same thing. I hate to say it. It looked exactly the same, and I know there might be like small differences in tolerances, and Anderson might not have as good a quality control, but I really personally think you're just buying the name when it comes to lowers, and 1,000 of y'all will disagree, but that's just how I feel about it. And I think everybody just getting into building, it's something to consider. If it's mil spec and it's, I mean, just a lower, why are you spending an additional $100 on the same piece of metal, in my opinion? And if the tolerances aren't exactly correct, is it worth $100? Because I mean that's a lot, and you can put a lot more into a gun for $100 than spending it on your lower. Which I'm not to say this piece is not important. There's definitely some things you should stay away from when lowers, like the Omni lowers. They're gosh, they're not metal. They're like a polymer almost. I picked one up the other day, and it just felt cheap and gross. And then I was looking into it because it was like $30, you know. And I was like, well, maybe it might be worth it to look for a polymer lower. And then everything I found on the Omni stuff was just destroyed. It crack and break and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, I mean, you should really, in my opinion, if you're just getting into lowers, or just getting into building, really, I think, be smart with your money and buy the cheapest lower that's still actually aluminum, 70, 75 aluminum. I think that's really important. Save you a bunch of money. One downside, besides the smaller QA, QC stuff, is resale value. Like if you buy a more expensive lower, like an Aero Precision, it'll hold its value a little better. But if you're buying it for you and you're looking for something that'll run, a $50 Anderson lower will do perfect. Alright. Second thing, and it's not really a second thing, it's kind of leading straight from this. Alright, when you're talking upper receivers, I feel the exact same way about it. Alright, a completely assembled upper receiver, and I'm not talking about the barrel, the handguard, and the gas block. I'm talking about just the upper receiver, this part in between this part. If I can get this thing apart. There we go. Just this part right here, from there back. You don't need to go spending a ton of money on that either. As long as it's 70-75 aluminum, it will likely hold up perfectly fine for whatever situation you are going to be putting it through. And once again, I'm saying this for the first time builder. If you're looking, I mean, if you want the top of the top line, go ahead and spend a ton of money on it, but I personally don't think it makes that big of a difference. Not as much as some other items on my list on where you should concentrate your money at, right? So like an Anderson, Palmetto State, upper, I think they're all fine. And once again, it's all about the name, and that's what you're really paying for. Alright, number 3, and this one's a biggie, and I feel pretty strongly about this, is where you should spend your money is I think you should really toss your money into like a bolt and a barrel. Okay? Bolts and barrels are the most crucial part of the gun. So the bolt controls whether or not you're extracting correctly and you're feeding correctly, and if you have a good quality bolt, you won't have to worry about that. And that's incredibly important when you're building a rifle, especially if you're going to be using it for self-defense. Being able to rely upon it is super crucial, and I think you should really buy a good bolt that is dependable. And I guess the same really goes for the barrel as well. So like you can buy a bunch, you can find all kinds of inexpensive barrels, and it's really about what you want and what you're trying to get. If you're trying to get like crazy groups, you definitely will have to have a really expensive barrel, but I think everybody should look for a higher quality barrel, even if you're not trying to hit a 2-inch gong out to 300-400 yards, because you want your gun to be reliable, you want your gun to be accurate, and I think spending that little extra money on like a chrome lined barrel is incredibly important, and is really worth its value because of what it adds to your accuracy and your reliability. Alright, so that was number 3. My 4th tip for someone that is just getting into building and looking to start up their own AR-15, have the right tools. Okay, I cannot say this enough. Is have everything planned out, have everything ready, know what you're doing. There's a million videos online and anybody that you ask will be delighted to help you. They might be a little mean about it because gun people tend to be a little mean, but they will help you. And it's important to know what you're doing when you're building these rifles. And YouTube doesn't always have all the answers. Some things you find on YouTube are just incorrect. So make sure you have all the tools you need. Make sure you have your torque wrenches. You make sure you have your grease, your gun grease, whatever you may use. I think Arrow Shell 64 is the new one. It replaced, what was it, 62 or 60, or it replaced 32 or 33. I can't remember exactly which one. But make sure you have all your grease. Make sure you're installing it in the correct places. Like when you put your barrel in, make sure you grease that up. When you put your shoot, I can't even think. Your buffer tube in, make sure you grease it when you put your flash hider on. Just make sure you're doing everything correctly. Make sure you're doing it right so you can stay safe. And that's really like a super important thing. And something I think everybody should do. And don't try to skimp and use tools that don't, like, okay, for example, this is an armorer's wrench, and this can be bought for 20 bucks, and it literally lets you do about everything you need to do. It even has a place for a torque wrench, a 1/2 inch, I believe it is, which is used for the barrel and stuff, and it has like all the parts. So if I want to take my flash hider off, it has a flash hider removal slot, and so just make sure you have everything you need. There's some things you don't really need, but will make your life easier. This is an upper receiver block. You put your upper in here and you can vise it down. Something I would just recommend because I've done it without it and it's easier with it. So take that for what you will. Alright, so here is my 5th and final tip. Be practical. Alright, everybody has different needs for their rifle. When I built this one, I wasn't trying to build a precision rifle. I was trying to build something I could go outside and shoot and practice with. As you can see, it has a red dot on it. I mean, it has a 16-inch barrel, and it's just a, I don't want to say it's a plinker, but that's what it is. It's not a sniper rifle by any means. And I knew that going into it, and I don't expect a lot from this rifle. If you're building something you want to hit little groups with, then you need to put your money there. You need to put your money in a barrel, like I said before, and you need to build it exactly how you want it. And you don't need to listen to everybody online, because if you listen to everybody online, they'll just pull you in 1,000 different directions. So just build what you need and build what you want. Some people might not need a 2-pound trigger. Okay, some people might just think the 7-pound mil-spec trigger is fine, and that's perfectly fine. You can do whatever you want, and that's important to remember. So don't get carried away and try to build a Gucci gun just because somebody online tells you that your normal AR-15 is stupid, because it's not. It's a gun, and it's your gun, and it's awesome. All right, so that basically does it. I hope this video was informative. I hope it helped you understand some of the things that I've learned while building AR-15s and while doing my daily stuff, you know. So that being said, please go subscribe. We're doing really good on subscribers right now, and I'd like to keep the momentum going, so it'd mean a ton to me if you went and did that. But that about does it, guys. I appreciate everybody for watching. I'll see y'all next time, and remember, take someone outdoors.